everyone, it's Maddie. It's so hard to believe that we have reached week 9 of the Coasting with Maddie series. Today we are going to highlight some of the important topics we have learned about since week 1. So, 71% of the Earth's surface is water. 97% of that water is found in the ocean. The Earth's water is a closed system. No water ever escapes the Earth's atmosphere. It is either liquid, gas, or solid ice.
Hi friends, this is Carolyn from the Los Angeles Maritime Institute. Remember the organization with the big tall ships? This week we will be learning about the water cycle. We will learn how water moves through the earth, where it comes from, and why it is important to every organism. Let's start just by talking about water in general. 71% of the Earth's surface is oceans full of water. From space, the Earth looks like a tiny blue marble because of all the water it has. The Pacific Ocean alone covers 1/3 of the Earth's surface. The ocean is home to about 1 million animal species, including tiny invertebrates such as shrimp, up to the largest animal that ever lived on Earth, the blue whale. The ocean teems with plant life. Most are tiny algae called phytoplankton, which produce about half of the oxygen that humans and other land-dwelling creatures breathe. Bigger algae like seaweed and kelp also grow in the ocean and provide food and shelter for marine animals. The ocean is huge, vast, and a place that holds many mysteries. Scientists estimate that 91% of the ocean species have yet to be classified, and that 95% of the ocean remains unexplored.
But hold on, where does all this water come from?
Scientists are still uncertain where water came from. Water may have come to our planet billions of years ago on an asteroid or comet, both of which contain ice. There's even water on the Moon and Mars, which further support this theory. Of course, water in the ocean will move from place to place. The water here in Long Beach, where our ship lives, won't stay here forever. It will move with tides and currents, going to the Indian Ocean, to the deepest part of the ocean, the Mariana Trench, or maybe even the Arctic. But water doesn't just move from ocean to ocean, it will move through the Earth as part of the water cycle. To help us dive into this topic a little more, Jonah here is going to be a water droplet, taking us through the water cycle. As the sun heats the surface of the ocean, water will start to evaporate as part of the water cycle. Jonah, in his water droplet form, will change from a liquid to a gas, becoming water vapor rising in the atmosphere. This process is known as evaporation. As the water vapor rises through the atmosphere, it will start to cool, and the molecules will group closer together, creating liquid water droplets in a process called condensation. Enough water droplets together will form a cloud by clinging to particles floating in the air, such as dust and ice. For Jonah, this means that he will be making friends high up in the sky. He will cling together with his friends and make a big, nice, fluffy cloud. After enough water droplets come together in a cloud, they become too heavy to stay in the upper atmosphere. So they will begin a process called precipitation. Precipitation falls as rain and sometimes snow, sleet, and hail if the conditions are right. Jonah will leave his friends in the cloud and return to the atmosphere as rain. Jonah could fall back into the ocean, or maybe a swimming pool, a puddle, or a mountain. He could fall as a raindrop hitting the coat of a dog out on a walk. Anywhere on Earth, really. This water will flow downhill through rivers and streams, and even underground through holes in the Earth's crust. This is called runoff. Humans can collect this fresh water and clean it in water filtration plants so that it can be used and distributed in homes. This is the water that you use for drinking, brushing your teeth, or showering. So many other animals use this water too. Bears, cats, birds, mosquitoes, snails all use water in some way to survive. Plants and trees too.
But wait, isn't water in the ocean salty? Jonah the water droplet started in the ocean. Animals and humans don't drink salt water.
Well, many animals do actually survive drinking and living on salt water. 60 to 80% of all life on Earth is found under the ocean's surface, which of course is salt water. But you are right, humans don't drink salt water. The water cycle purifies and cleans the water as it goes through the water cycle. When Jonah evaporated from the ocean and became a gas, the salt was left behind. Next time you're at the beach, you can watch this process. Grab a cup of salt water and leave it in the sun. Over time, the water will evaporate and you will see the salt crystals stay behind in the cup.
What happens when the water in the water cycle is contaminated by pollution?
Well, I'm glad you asked. The Earth itself acts as a remarkably good filter. So just like the salt crystals in the cup, most pollutants won't continue through the water cycle past evaporation. Mother Nature ends up taking the impact of the pollution instead of it remaining in our drinking water. However, some pollution does make its way into the water cycle. When the water vapor condenses in the atmosphere, it will sometimes cling to tiny particles in the air. These particles will fall with the rain as a phenomenon called acid rain. These contaminants infect plants and animal life, including humans, hurting their ability to grow, live, and reproduce. Before we go, let's review the water cycle one last time. It all starts with evaporation as the water leaves the earth, heating up because of the sun. These water gases then cool down and condense as condensation in the atmosphere. As it condenses, it forms a big cloud, which gets heavier and produces precipitation. The water returns as snow, rain, hail, or sleet. It then runs off mountains and streets and the ground and either becomes groundwater used for brushing your teeth, or it returns to lakes, streams, and the ocean where it started. Thanks for learning with us today. Check out the water cycle activity worksheet, water usage activity, and water pollution assignment to complete on your own. And in your free time, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel, Lammy Topsail. See you next week.
Hello, everyone. Today we're visiting an underwater park and ecological preserve in La Jolla, just north of San Diego. Here I will be interviewing Beth Basom, Ocean Advisor for the Walter Munk Foundation of the Oceans. Beth, the map exhibit just recently opened in October. Please tell us how this underwater mosaic map of the Grand Canyons of La Jolla came about.
Hi, Maddie. I'm really glad to welcome you to the map of the Grand Canyons of La Jolla. And this project, as you said, opened October 19th to the public. And we're so excited to have everyone come and view it now. This has been years in the making. And this is the second version of it. And this is the largest lithomosaic in the world. We're waiting for Guinness Book of World Records to tell us how, to give us that name. It's 2,500 square feet, which is the size of 9 school buses parked side by side. And it's an educational plaza that also has signs. It has QR codes involved. It's just a whole educational experience when you come down. And what it does is it shows you what's underwater out in our beautiful La Jolla beaches.
What is a lithomosaic? Could you explain that a little bit?
Sure. So it's slightly different than a regular mosaic. It's still tile work. You can kind of see it in the behind me here. It's still tile work, and what it is it's done by gluing individual tiles upside down onto mats. So you're actually creating it upside down and backwards. And then the whole piece of mesh with all the tiles on it gets flipped over into the concrete, and then it releases the tiles in there. It's a technique that's been developed by Robin Brailsford and Wick Alexander, the artist who came up with this technique.
That's so interesting. About how many tiles make up a lithomosaic?
So as I said, this is the largest lithomosaic in the world to date, and we estimate there are at least 500,000 tiles in this. So 500,000. When it's hard to travel and come down, you can still meet the map online. We have a website called waltermunkway.com, and that's Munk, M-U-N-K. And so they can view a digital version of the map where they'll be able to scroll over the different animals and find out more about our wonderful species here on the California coast.
I hear that the artist laying the tiles had an interesting way of assembling each tile. Did they really have to lay above the lithomosaic balanced on a platform? Can you tell us a little bit about how that went down?
Yeah, so that's actually how they had to install it into the concrete. The artists themselves had a huge building here at Scripps where they were able to lay out the entire lithomosaic on the floor of it and glue all the pieces together. So the map was actually finished before it was ever put into concrete. When they went, they cut it down into pieces, and when they were going to install it into the concrete, all of the construction workers had to hover above the concrete, which had already been poured, and kind of like a dance choreograph, they had to work on their individual pieces. They started at one end of the mosaic. They were suspended over it because the concrete was wet and they would have fallen through. So they had to be suspended and then moved down as each piece of concrete was put in. So it was like watching choreography.
That must have been super fun to watch. About how many animals are shown in this great big map? Are the animals true to size?
So we have 123 species. That does include plants and reptiles. Some of them are on land, but they're all native to this part of San Diego. We do have one, however, which is it's kind of the quiz I like to give to people if they can pick out which is the one non-native species that's there. Other than that, they're as close to true to size as we can make them. It's a little hard to make a Spanish shawl, which is an underwater sea slug, and they're about half an inch long. So that would be one tile. So we had to kind of make those slightly bigger so that they could be better represented.
So most of these animals are native to this area only?
Yes, so everything that you see on the map can be found underwater, 100 feet away in the ocean right there. And the only one, as I said, that doesn't live in this area is a species of ray that greets you at the entrance to the map when you come off Walter Monk Way, and that is a type of ray called Monk's Devil Ray, and it was named after our founder, Walter Monk. So he's a sentimental. He's there for sentimental reasons. They live in the Sea of Cortez.
Oh, okay. Very cool. The mosaic begins at the beach and moves out to deep water and much larger animals. Does this mosaic represent what happens right off the beach here in La Jolla? La Jolla?
Absolutely. So I like to explain it as if you look at a relief map where they used create maps to give you the idea of how tall a mountain is. So this is the underwater version of it. It's called a bathymetry. So the different colors of blue in the map show you what depth you're at, and it creates a beautiful picture of what happens with the contours of the canyons and how they meet underwater.
Oh, so not just animals.
Yeah.
Very cool. What else is featured in the exhibit?
Uh, so there is one thing that's very interesting on the map that is a series of red lines and arcs that kind of come out from Scripps Pier. Scripps Pier is a very important landmark here in La Jolla. And these lines are part of a paper that Walter wrote in 1947. And what these lines explain is how the underwater currents bounce off the canyons, how they bring food into the area for all the species that live there. And they also create the really wonderful waves that we have for surfing. He was the first surf forecaster by explaining wave refraction.
That's very California. There seems to be a QR code that people read using their phone. What sort of information is given with each animal's QR code?
So as part of the answer to the last question, we do have signs as well. And each of the animals has a number next to it. And you can actually look at the number, go over to the sign and find the animal or the plant on the sign itself. We had local divers and photographers donate their photos for these signs. So they're very colorful and they're very informative. When you trigger the QR code that's on the sign next to your species, it'll bring up a page that explains where it lives, how big it is, what does it eat, who eats it. and it gives you a gallery of photos as well. So there's a lot of information that comes up with those QR codes. If you're with someone who has maybe a hard time reading or seeing, then it also comes up with a bar so you can listen to what's printed as well.
It seems like there's so much to see here and lots of very, very valuable information to learn. Does it cost anything for our viewers to visit the map here in La Jolla?
I think that's one of the best parts is it's free to the public. So you can come down with your family, walk through. I like the idea too that you can come and plan what you want to do in the ocean right in front of you. Some of the QR codes are going to be with local events that are happening. So for example, here in La Jolla, if you like sharks, we have a group of leopard sharks that come in to the shallow water every year. And you can actually, you don't even need to snorkel. You can wade out and see these leopard sharks close to shore. So part of what the signs and the information from the plaza will be on what you can see and how you can plan your adventures here in La Jolla.
This is a beautiful area. Our viewers should definitely come and see the map and spend the day at the beach. Beth, thank you so much for sharing.
Thank you, Maddie. It was my pleasure.
Yes, this is such a special litho mosaic, and I really hope everybody gets a chance to go and see it. It's such a fun adventure while learning about the animals living in the underwater Grand Canyons off the coast of La Jolla. Thank you so much again for everything.
My pleasure.
Thank you.
Hello, I'm Mary Monk, president of the Walter Monk Foundation for the Oceans. We're so pleased to be part of this year's Geography 2050 conference focused on the future of the world oceans. We're excited not only to share a little information about the foundation and my husband Walter Monk's legacy, but how his 1947 paper on the Grand Canyons of La Jolla has led to the installation of the largest lithomosaic in the world, an educational, artistic map that tells the story of the underwater park and ecological reserves just offshore. We hope you will enjoy our story.
Off the California coast, there is a place of beauty, wonder, and adventure.
An underwater geographic wonder called the Grand Canyons of La Jolla.
The Grand Canyons of La Jolla are a geographical wonder. It's where you've got this canyon meeting this rocky shoreline. We've got kelp forests, rocky reefs, beautiful sand sort of canyons, and it's where the shoreline meets the deep ocean, and that's what makes it such a geographical wonder. And that's why it's also a state marine conservation area, or marine protected area, and protected for the people of California and people everywhere because it's such a remarkable place.
It's a place so remarkable, so important to the future of the oceans, that a new piece of art has been dedicated here along its shoreline at La Jolla Shores Park. It's called The Map of the Grand Canyons of La Jolla.
The map brings the ecological wonderland of La Jolla Canyons to life in a way that so wonderfully merges art and education.
This map is a tiny component of the many things that we need to do for people to realize how much our societies depend on the oceans.
A creation of the Walter Monk Foundation, the map is fitted and formed from tiny tiles, 500,000 of them, pieced together into a magnificent mosaic marvel. But this map is not only a giant piece of art. Grab your phone or computer and the map becomes a high-tech gateway to the Grand Canyons of La Jolla and the more than 100 species of marine life that live here.
Each creature will have a QR code, so the community will be able to download the information on that species and learn all about the species that we have off our shoreline.
The marine life you're going to see on the map is controlled by the faults. The faults expose this rich tapestry of geology on the seafloor that the kelp can attach to, that the fish can live in and get shelter. So all of a sudden we have a link between what outcrops, what is on the seafloor, and what's the biohabitat. Furthermore, these canyons provide a conveyor belt of bringing nutrients and sand from shallow water to deep water. So this here affects habitats that are in the deep sea that don't ever see the light of day.
The tiles that do see the light of day may be small, but they are built upon the legacy of a giant, legendary oceanographer and Foundation namesake Walter Munk.
Professor Walter H. Munk is widely recognized as the world's greatest living oceanographer and the father of modern oceanography. He is the recipient of this year's Explorer's Medal.
Walter Munk walked our understanding of the system of oceans across a whole century.
So you look there and I look here? Okay.
From his boyhood home in Austria to the coast of his beloved Southern California, Dr. Walter Munk has changed the way we look at oceans. During World War II, he joined the Army and worked with the Navy, his studies of wind and waves helping our Allied forces turn the tides of battle.
He was leading the team that was figuring out the equations to predict the tides so that we could have a successful Allied victory in Normandy.
Over the years, he studied the effects on the ocean from nuclear blasts at Bikini Atoll to the waves that move us all.
Walter's early work successfully forecast the first ocean swells across the Pacific. This had a huge impact and paved the way for surfers to be able to predict when and where to surf. He was the first surf forecaster, and we reap the benefits from him every day.
It was his work with swells here in La Jolla that in 1947 led Dr. Munk to publish a paper in the Journal of Geology on the refraction of ocean waves, linking underwater topography to beach erosion.
Dr. Munk had a great appreciation of these grand canyons off La Jolla, and he sketched what they would look like and how they would meander going down the slope. And other scientists were intrigued by his insights and followed up on these studies. These canyons here are fault controlled. So the Newport-Englewood-Rose Canyon fault comes up the 5, jogs to the west, comes across here by the beach and tennis club, and this fault controls the canyon head. The canyon head starts in about 8 meters of water, about 25 feet, and extends all the way down to about 1,200 meters or 3,600 feet. Submarine canyons are canyons that are beneath the sea, and they scour the margins. So here, hidden from us, are mountains that are as high as anything we see here in Palomar Mountain, the lagunas. So these mountains and islands are because the topography offshore has been twisted and faulted and folded, and these faults control where the canyons are.
What's great about this map, of the big map of the Grand Canyon of La Jolla, is that it shows the open ocean linking it to the shoreline of these great species, and it has these lines. It shows these lines that come from a paper from Walter Munk in the 1940s that show the bathymetry, the currents, the wave refraction here that make this such a special place, as well as marking the marine reserve. So it's really, really an amazing piece of geography in action.
It is geography that has come to life. A map that not only stands as a gateway to these unique underwater canyons, but now welcomes the next wave of explorers toward the future of our oceans.
This map is going to give insights and trigger curiosity in the scientists to come. So these maps and these renditions that represent the Grand Canyons of La Jolla will spark new frontiers of research.
It will inspire, educate, and provide access to our local ecological and geological wonderland to all the people of San Diego and many visitors from all over the world for years to come.
learned about the importance of marine protected areas. Luckily, marine protected areas are located all around the world, protecting against overfishing and preserving habitats for endangered sea life.
In 2005, I heard rumors about big fish swimming in Cabo Pumo. I escaped from school to check if these rumors were true. I had never seen a school of jacks bigger than that I saw that day.
Welcome to Wavelengths, where we talk about our planet with experts from Scripps Institution of Oceanography, covering everything from the deep sea to the edge of the atmosphere. I'm Kate Furby, a marine biologist and journalist. I got my PhD here a few years ago, and now I'm back, learning more about what's happening at Scripps. I'm here today with Dr. Octavio Alberto. He's an associate professor at Scripps Oceanography.
So we are rolling?
We are rolling. Can you tell us a little bit about what you do?
Yes, I work here at Scripps and work mainly with marine protected areas, fisheries, and coastal habitats.
Where is most of your research based?
I have been working here in a very tiny town that is called Cabo Pumo. It's a very small marine reserve, and it's basically the size of Disneyland. Fishermen here decided to stop fishing in 1995. We were able to show that the recovery was amazing. It was like almost 400% in change. And now you can see animals of fish that can grow up to 3 meters in length, and also the presence of sharks like bull sharks. That recovery is one of the largest recoveries in no-take marine areas around the world.
That must feel amazing to be part of that.
Yes, amazing.
Can you tell us what a marine protected area is?
Cabo Pumo is what is called no-take marine reserve. That basically means the 7,000 hectares of the Marine National Park close to any extractive activities.
All right, so now we're out in La Jolla, and there's an MPA here too, right?
Yes, in 2012, La Jolla decided to put this MPA. It's very tiny, it's only 2 square kilometers. Compared with other MPAs, it's a small one, but it's fully protected.
Got it. And compared to Cabo Pumo, it's pretty small too.
Very small, and it covers a different kind of habitats, but the most important thing is that nobody is fishing, and this produces very, very good benefits. If we have more and more of these areas, we can replenish again the oceans.
A lot of times when I'm talking to people about conservation, there's this idea that it's expensive to do conservation, or that there's this like sort of tension between business and conservation. And I know Cabo Pumo is a great example of when this is not the case. What is happening in Cabo Pumo in terms of like economics versus conservation?
Cabo Pumo is a very tiny place. It's generating a lot of money with these healthy ecosystems. In the past, Jacques Cousteau named the Gulf of California the aquarium of the world, but you cannot see anything that Cousteau saw in the majority of the places. But if you go to Cabo Pumo, you can see these big fish, these sharks, everything that made famous the Gulf of California.
I love that this sleepy little fishing town switched to solar, decided to protect its fishery, and now it's doing better per capita than the big tourist resorts are. We need more Cabo Pumos.
We need more, thousands of them.
Then, we traveled to the deepest, darkest ocean depths, exploring the ocean floor, and saw what lives there and how that sea life must adapt to the environment. 3 methods of ocean exploration were covered: a person diving with a snorkel or with scuba tanks, manned submersibles such as submarines, and, for the very deepest ocean exploration, remotely operated vehicles or autonomously operated vehicles without people aboard.
They live in these very dimly lit, deep portions of the ocean, and when the sun goes down, they actually swim up miles into the shallower waters where there's a lot more productivity, a lot more food, so they feed on animals in the deep sea, and they also avoid being eaten.
Welcome to Wavelengths, where we talk about our planet with experts from Scripps Institution of Oceanography, covering everything from the deep sea to the edge of the atmosphere. I'm Kate Furby, a marine biologist and journalist. I got my PhD here a few years ago, and now I'm back, learning more about what's happening at Scripps. I'm here today with Dr. Anela Choi. She's an assistant professor at Scripps Oceanography. She studies deep sea food webs. So every night these animals are coming up from the depths. What scale are we talking about for this?
Yeah, well, let's remember that these are pretty small animals. Sometimes they're this big to, this big. And they're swimming hundreds of feet up and down in the ocean every single day. And when you're this big, it's basically like running a marathon every single day just to get your meal.
And you look at how everything is connected?
Yeah, we look at through how animals are connected through feeding. So predator-prey interactions. We look at diet, we look at trophic levels, which is basically where in the food web an animal is feeding, and how all of those different steps lead up to top predators. Things are pretty complicated in the ocean. Animals are adapted to eat a wide variety of different animals because in the deep sea, you never know when your next meal is going to come.
I could never live there.
I couldn't either.
I have snacks in my pocket right now. So how do you do the research that you're doing?
Yeah, we rely on a number of different tools to basically bring us into the deep sea. And we use a lot of remotely operated vehicles, a lot of deep diving robots. We send down trawls, and we also look at the diets of animals who are basically sampling this midwater community for us.
Is that where this guy comes in?
Yeah, so in this jar is a really large long-nosed lancet fish.
I was gonna ask you what the lancet fish eats, but looking at his face, it looks like whatever he wants. What do they actually eat?
Well, I'd like, maybe you'll see for yourself.
I'm not gonna be good at this.
That's okay. I think you can remember how to use the scissors, right?
Oh, wow.
So there's a piece of plastic you can see right away, along with all of the different prey items in this stomach. Kate has some of these. These are hatchet fish.
Oh my God. Whoa, 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 whoa. Wow.
So there's a large shard of plastic as well, and you can see it has some kind of like biofouling on it.
Yeah.
So it may have been in the ocean for some amount of time.
Cool, 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 cool. I find it like pretty upsetting that we've found plastic in all of these ocean ecosystems, particularly like the deep sea that's so remote.
And I think it's really important that we use this knowledge in a positive way, and we use it to show people how they are connected to the deep sea, not just through the plastic products that they use every day, but the food that we eat, the cars that we drive and the planes that we fly, the devices that we use in our pockets every single day. A lot of these resources come from the deep sea.
That's a really inspirational way to think about the plastic problem. I think the idea that that's really compelling is that all of the ocean animals are connected, but we're also part of that ecosystem.
Dr. Chris Lowe from the Shark Lab at Cal State Long Beach also showed us shark behavior and how scientists attach tracking devices to sharks so that more can be learned about these mysterious animals. Today we will see shark behavior and their relationship with dolphins.
It's a long-known fact that sharks prefer to avoid dolphins. They swim away quickly when they see them, especially grampus dolphins. Simultaneously, in the stomachs of some sharks, we found parts of dolphins. How can it be that such fearless predators are afraid of cute and playful dolphins? Let's take a look at this. Why are sharks afraid of dolphins? Dolphins are mammals that live in pods and are quite clever. It's well known that dolphins are not as harmless as they seem and know how to protect themselves. When they see an aggressive shark, they immediately attack it with the whole pod, not giving the shark any chances of survival. This is why sharks tend to avoid pods with many dolphins. Dolphins have some advantages over sharks due to the way their body is built. Their upper fin makes them very flexible. The combination of soft skin and a flexible skeleton structure allows them to be efficient in a fight. The vertical tail of the shark is flat and limits their up and down mobility, while dolphins have horizontal tails that allow them to have great mobility and a quick way to change directions in a fast attack. The heads of dolphins have very thick and very strong skin and act as a biological battering ram. Dolphins can be several meters under the shark and then quickly swim upwards and slam their snout into the shark's soft stomach. This will lead to serious internal traumas. When they have to defend themselves, they will protect each other from the shark's attack with their massive snouts that they use to hit the gills of the shark. A well-placed hit can cause enough damage to kill the shark. Therefore, they can surround a shark and hit her gills first before the actual attack on the stomach. In a way, they just frighten the shark until it swims away itself. Sharks are predators who swim alone, while dolphins travel in groups, so-called pods. Every time a member of the group is in danger, the rest will come to help them. There are even known cases where dolphins saved humans from sharks. There just needs to be 2 or 3 dolphins, and the shark will prefer to stay away instead of clashing with them. Sharks like to attack targets that are smaller than them, for example, small dolphin babies. When they decide to attack a baby dolphin, they usually can't escape an attack by a pod full of angry dolphins. The biggest advantage of the dolphins, however, is their intelligence. By using echolocation, they can move fast in the water in order to avoid or to attack sharks. A shark's biggest chance of killing a dolphin is when the shark is hidden away from their sight, since they are silent predators. But when the first try is unsuccessful, the dolphin can easily swim away or regroup to fight together with the rest of his pod. Additionally, dolphins are incredibly fast. They can swim faster than the majority of sharks, making them an elusive food that's not worth the effort. According to the data provided by organizations supporting whales and dolphins, 1/3 of dolphins living in the waters off Sarasota, Florida, have scars from incidents with sharks. That's why in some parts of the world, sharks are considered to be the biggest threat to dolphins. However, there is one more dolphin species that scared white sharks. It's the killer whale, the biggest representative of dolphins, and they hunt for white sharks when they don't have enough food. They use their massive and strong tails to flip the sharks over and make them immobile. This is why white sharks prefer to flee from killer whales immediately, as they are especially interested in eating their liver. With extreme precision, they take out the shark's liver and throw away the rest of the body. No wonder sharks are afraid of them. What do you think? Would sharks be afraid of dolphins if they wouldn't swim in pods? If you liked the video, give it a like and subscribe to our channel so you won't miss anything interesting. We'll see you later.
Lastly, we'll finish with a high-tech submarine dropping to the depths and learn how the intense atmospheric pressure affects a spherical object. The host makes the voyage so real you might feel like you're aboard.
So we've now dropped below 200 meters deep.
Okay, they've seen a shark.
What?
There's a shark somewhere around here. Aside.
Oh! Welcome to the scientific research ship Baseline Explorer. We're just off the coast of Bermuda in the North Atlantic Ocean, 775 miles from New York, 1,051 miles from Florida, 3,237 miles from Cornwall. I'm Greg Foote, I'm the onboard science reporter, and today I'm getting the chance to dive down into the deep ocean in a submersible called Nomad.
I'm excited. I've been waiting a very long time for this, so let's get down there. Hello, sir. Can I come in? Oh, it is a bit small, isn't it? All right. See you topside.
Yeah, I think we're ready to slide you into position.
Oh, we're flying. Yeah, let's turn this on. On that side, is it? We're in.
I guess we're ready to go then.
Yeah, good, thank you. Oh, it's so good to be in here. I've been waiting for this for such a long
Fantastic.
time.
So they're starting to release straps now. And they go. Roger that. Doing a thruster. So I'm going to test my thrusters.
There's Kenny. Oh, that's my first glimpse
of underwater.
That is my first glimpse of the underwater.
Off the hook, and good luck on your journey to the deep.
Roger that. Here we go.
Thank you, Jeremy.
Okay, so we're well clear.
So we're positively buoyant right now, aren't we?
Yep. Inside the big gold tanks that you look on the side here, those are our main ballast tanks. So they're full of air, and they're keeping us right up out of the water. And then in behind us, we have what's called a variable ballast tank, and that's what we use to fine adjust our trim on the bottom.
So excited. so excited.
Topside is Nomad.
Topside, go ahead.
Yeah, my hatch is secure, life support is running. Pre-dive safety briefing has been completed. We're looking for permission just to open our vents and just get out of this heat.
Good copy, hatch secure, life support systems on and running, safety briefing complete. You're clear to vent and dip down to lift it.
Roger that, opening vents now.
Okay, so tell me what happens as we open the vents.
So you can see the air starting to come out there.
Yep.
Right? And it's going to tip forward. And then it's going to roll back in a minute. So that's our start.
That's quite a scary feeling, actually, isn't it?
Yep.
Is that a little jellyfish?
Yep.
Just there?
Yep, little jelly.
Nomad, Nemo.
Yeah, go ahead, Nemo.
Yeah, I'm off your port side, heading your way. You want to come this direction a little bit?
Roger that. Turn around.
Top side, Nemo.
You there?
Go ahead.
Ah, yes.
Our hatch is secure. Our life support systems are on and running. Our safety briefing has been complete. Visual on Nomad. Request permission to open vents and dive. Both folks have permission to dive. Dive. Nemo copy. Venting.
No bad copies. Heading down.
Down we go.
Gonna hear a little bit of air release. Gonna hear it again.
Wow.
And we're on our way.
It is so beautifully smooth, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Get away from the wave action. There we go.
So you can already see at just 15 feet down that it gets a lot bluer the deeper you go, and that's because the sunlight that's coming in is getting absorbed and scattered by all the water around us.
and actually the red gets absorbed and scattered first, which means it just gets bluer and bluer and bluer on the way down to the depths.
Topside, topside. This is Nomad. My depth is 24 feet. My heading is 240. My life support is okay, and my vents are secure.
So we just hover here for a little bit.
No,
waiting.
we're still going down.
Oh, we're going down?
Yeah.
You just can't tell at all?
No. So we're sinking.
Is that a co-pilot job, just to clean the windows?
Absolutely.
I can do that.
Yeah. Yeah, there they are.
That is a phenomenal sight. It's like they're flying.
They are.
Isn't it?
Yep.
Whoa! Yeah, hi guys, we see you.
There he goes, look at him spin. I think it's spin fast.
Wow.
Very maneuverable.
You're just giving them a little pirouette, are you, Calvin?
Give him a little spin, a little dance.
The ocean is the planet's beating heart. It produces a lot of the oxygen that life needs to breathe. It's home to so much fish that feeds so much of the world. And also it drives the temperature of the planet as well. And just like measuring the pulse to get a sense of the health of the body, we can measure the ocean currents down here in the deep oceans to get a sense of the health of the whole planet and of course the deep ocean. And that is what Necton is doing. Necton's scientific mission is the XL Catlin Deep Ocean Survey. And right now I am 565 foot down in this incredible submersible with Kelvin doing just that. So we've now dropped below 200 meters deep, and that means that we've left the sunlight layer, which is known as the epipelagic zone, and we've dropped down into the twilight area, or the mesopelagic zone. And right here it is really dark, because all the light, the sunlight, has been scattered and absorbed, and it means it's very dark and very eerie and very alien. But there is still some light here, just it's very, very faint. And if we were to go down below 1,000 meters, we would then go right down deep, down into total darkness, right down into the midnight zone. Oh my word, what's that?
That's the wall right there.
Oh my word, this is phenomenal. So we've made it to our depth. We're at 250 meters, and it's like a wall that's just suddenly appeared in front of us. So we're in this field of wire corals, and there's a few little fish darting around as well, and we can see some other kind of sprouting corals on the rock. I mean, that's not the scientific name, because I don't really know what it is,
Yep.
but so when we're up on the ship at sea level, we say that the pressure is 1 atmosphere, and that is essentially the amount of pressure pushing down on top of us from the whole of the atmosphere, all of that air pushing down on our shoulders. Now it's actually quite a lot, but we never stop and think about it because we've grown up with it, we've evolved to deal with it. But as you dive deeper and deeper into the water, with all of that water on top of you, that starts pushing down on you, and that's why the pressure increases. And actually it goes up by 1 atmosphere every 10 meters. So we're at 820 feet now.
Or we could say 25 atmospheres, because we're at 250 meters.
Which is easily the same as having a jumbo jet, or a few of them, kind of on top of the sub right now. I find 1 enough.
1 is enough?
Sometimes. I guess, I'm guessing it actually wouldn't be possible to open that at all.
No. There's no way you could push that hatch open.
Not a chance.
I'm not going to do it, but I could actually undog it. Nothing would happen.
You don't need to do that.
I won't do it.
I'm going to trust the science.
Yeah, exactly.
Tell me about this incredible machine. How can it survive those massive pressures?
Well, we're in a perfect sphere. So this is an acrylic sphere, and it is built to handle that pressure. So if it was square, the sides would be push in, but because it's a perfect sphere, it doesn't crush. It pushes in on itself and actually gets quite strong.
amazing bit of tech. These Triton submersibles are fantastic. It's home for you. It's your office.
It is my office.
Yeah. What an office!
I have the best office.
Oh, you really do.
Yeah. And the part that I like about it the best is that we can come down and spend 2 or 3 hours down here, go straight back to the surface, get out, and have a nice cool drink.
Whereas our technical divers, who are also part of the Necton mission, those guys are absolutely amazing, global underwater explorers. They are diving for 5-6 hours a day, and their decompression, their deco can be hanging at like less than 10 meters below the surface for an hour and a half, 2 hours.
Give us a call.
Sure.
Go ahead, Nemo. This is Nomad. Okay, they've seen a shark sighting.
What?
There's a shark somewhere around here. See it.
Come on. I just saw something. Oh, what's... No, I just thought I saw a shadow.
Ah, it's a little group of fish up there. But no shark up here.
No shark.
Son of a gun. Bummer. Side.
Oh, moray eel.
Oh, moray eel. Green moray.
Check that out, look. A green moray eel. This far down. That's amazing. Wow. You've probably heard that we've only mapped 5% of the ocean floor. That's actually not right. We have actually mapped 100% of the ocean's floor, but to a resolution of 5 kilometers. So you're not going to see much detail at all. It's like a really grainy image. But actually, thanks to missions like the Necton mission and some clever bits of trickery where satellites can look down at the ocean and using maths can work out the local shifts in gravity, we've actually mapped about 10 to 15% of the ocean floor to a resolution of about 100 meters. However, saying all that, we have only ever taken samples of 0.0001% of the whole of the ocean floor. So, it is very much still one of the most unexplored areas of our planet. And that is exactly why the Necton mission is here. That is exactly why we are doing the ExoCaptain Deep Ocean Survey. And that is why we are down at 250 meters underneath that surface of the ocean, looking out across this alien-looking landscape. Alright, we're going up. So Nemo's just taking a look at a couple of crevices in this wall here that we're on the side of. We're right on the side of this seamount that just drops right off. So we're just coming up to the top of the seamount, the top of this underwater mountain that we've been on the side of for the last 2.5 hours.
Topside. This is Nomad. Cleared the top of the wall at 250 feet. Continuing our ascent. Topside. This is Nomad. My depth is 50 feet, 50 feet. Looking for final clearance to the surface. Roger that. Here I come.
This is incredible. It's just got brighter and brighter and brighter, and I can just see the surface just glistening above us like this blanket almost above us, and we're about to break through. Oh!
Here we go.
Here we go. Whoa! Oh, that was absolutely phenomenal. And here come the guys. Can I just say, Kelvin, thank you so much.
Thanks for coming.
That was just... I will never forget that.
My pleasure.
Absolutely amazing.
It's my job. I love it.
that's it for today. We'll see you next week, and be prepared to let us know what your favorite place was that we visited along the coast from the Port of Los Angeles to the Port of San Diego. Goodbye!